The trial of the three white men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery continues in Brunswick, Georgia. And folks, this strange trial continues. The homeowner who owned the home where Ahmaud Arbery had entered that was still being constructed said that no property, to his knowledge, had been stolen. Now, these three white men, they concluded that Ahmaud Arbery was robbing houses, but even they admitted that nothing that was actually taken. They had no idea. Not only that, the defense team for these white men are upset, and they actually asked the judge to keep black pastors who have been attending the trial from being able to sit in the courtroom. Here's a photo here of Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, who was actually in the courtroom today. This is a photo here. He posted this on his Twitter feed of him sitting in the courtroom. Listen to these white attorneys try to keep black pastors out of the courtroom.
My understanding, while I was cross-examining Investigator Lowry yesterday, is that the Right Reverend Al Sharpton managed to find his way into the back of the courtroom. I'm guessing he was somehow there at the invitation of the victim's family in this case. And I have nothing personally against Mr. Sharpton. My concern is that it's one thing for the family to be present. It's another thing to ask for the lawyers to be present. But if we're going to start a precedent, starting yesterday, where we're going to bring high-profile members of the African-American community into the courtroom to sit with the family during the trial in the presence of the jury, I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure, could be consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to pressure or influence the jury. To my knowledge, Reverend Al Sharpton has no church in Blaine County, never has. Hasn't been here since Elaine Brown ran for mayor, to my knowledge. But we have all kinds of people. We have school board members. We have county commissioners. We have all kinds of pastors in this town, over 100. And the idea that we're going to be serially bringing these people in to sit with the victim's family one after another, obviously there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence a jury in this case. And I'm not saying the state is even aware that Mr. Sharpton was in the courtroom. I certainly wasn't aware of it till last night. But I think the court can understand my concern about bringing people in who really don't have any ties to this case other than political interests. And we want to keep politics out of this case. So I'm asking the court to take appropriate steps to make sure that the gallery, which is already limited in this case, isn't being utilized for a purpose that could be viewed as improper.
From state?
It's a public courtroom, and I have no idea how the Reverend Al Sharpton appeared to be here. So the state had no part in that whatsoever, so the state is unaware of how that occurred or how he came to be seated with the family.
If a bunch of folks came in here dressed like Colonel Sanders with white masks sitting in the back, I mean, that would be a problem.
I don't know. So let me tell you what I had heard at lunchtime today what I had heard yesterday before lunch is that there was going to be, that the Reverend Al Sharpton was going to be appearing on the courthouse and appearing with the family. I was asked at lunch whether the court had any objection to Reverend Al Sharpton coming into the courtroom, and I said, as a member of the public, there are certain limitations on what we can do here, what is going on. And what I was told was, instead of having someone from the family sitting in the courtroom, that he was going to be sitting there instead of somebody else from the family. And my comment to that was simply, as long as things are not disruptive and it's not a distraction to the jury or anything else going on in the courtroom, so be it. Well, I will tell you that I noticed him once and that was it. And the fact that nobody else even noticed that he was in here means that everybody complied with this court's rulings on sitting in this courtroom and listening to the evidence. I don't hear a motion, and I will tell you this, I'm not going to blanketly exclude members of the public from this courtroom. if individuals, based on the limitations that we have in the courtroom, end up sitting in the courtroom, and they can do so respectful of the court's process and in compliance with this court's orders with regard to the conduct of the trial, and they're not a distraction, then I'm not going to do anything about it. And I did not hear from anyone that there was any distraction whatsoever.
Mr. English, we see some of the same, or do we see some of the same items in this house or in this construction site in the daytime as the nighttime, since the nighttime?
Yes.
Okay. And from your knowledge, at this point, has anything ever been taken or disturbed?
No, never taken.
And do you remember if you called the police this day during this daytime clip?
I don't think I did.
Okay. Do you remember the date that this clip was taken?
I may not be correct, but I think it's the day that Mr. Arbery got shot.
As I said, one of those pastors today sitting in the court was Reverend Dr. William J. Barber. He appeared with others on the courthouse steps, calling the murder of Ahmaud Arbery a lynching.
Scattered out. The Poor People's Campaign, we understand the intersection between the acts of racial violence, like the lynching of Arbery, and the police violence that leads to all these unnecessary deaths. Somebody say unnecessary. Unnecessary. But we got to understand what we have seen here with Ahmaud is not just murder, it's an act of terrorism.
Yes, yes, yes.
And America, the only way we're going to stop this is America, you're going to have to come to understand that this kind of terrorism and murder is not just dangerous to black people,
yes,
it's dangerous to the entire country.
Yes.
Joining us right now from Brunswick, Georgia, Barbara Arnwine. She is president of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Daryl Jones, he is the chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Glad to have both of you. Y'all have been on the ground there from day one, focus on this. It's rather insulting, Barbara, to listen to this white attorney specifically say to the court, deny black pastors from attending. For everybody out there, y'all have been there. This is an open, as the judge said, this is a public courtroom. This is not a closed case, a closed trial. So for this white attorney to specifically ask for black pastors not to be allowed to attend is utterly shameful.
It is disgraceful. And I want you to know, Roland, that this is, I would say, the fifth motion, I believe, that he has made. He's made 4 motions to ban the Transformative Justice Coalition by name, and me and some others from the presence in the courthouse. And let me be very clear, any presence at all on the courthouse grounds. Each time the judge has denied it, he said that's grounds for mistrial, the attorney has. He even in his motion, in one of his motions, wrote that the black press, the black media is how he put it, the black media was intimidating jurors by being, potential jurors by being as part of the press pool. So this man's got problems. He's got serious problems, and I'm not shocked that he said this. I sat right in that courtroom next to Reverend Al Sharpton yesterday. There was nothing, not a stir, not a look, nothing. The jury, if you're in that courtroom, you will see that the jury is intensely watching the witnesses, the judge, and all the evidence. They're reading the transcripts. They're doing all the work that they should be doing as jurors. So I just think that this man is desperate. He knows that they are in trouble. I mean, one of the pieces of evidence that was introduced today was the evidence that the homeowner believed that there was this white couple that was actually doing all the thieving, and that he actually called the police on them twice, and he actually called the police on them a third time when he thought he had found out where they lived. You don't hear anything about anybody going to, quote, investigate these white people, to identify these white people, but he believed they were the thieves who had taken items from his home, and he said Ahmaud never took a thing, not one thing.
Daryl, this is pure racism by this attorney, to be targeting black people. How in the world is somebody black intimidating the jury by sitting in the courtroom listening to the proceedings?
And Roland, thanks for having us on, and that's an excellent question. And one of the things that's been consistent from the defense team has been this, the issue of race, right? They wanted to ban the Transformative Justice Coalition because they said we were going to bring 20,000 people into Glenn County and put them on the courthouse steps and intimidate the jury. They wanted to ban the black pastors. They wanted to ban the black media. Now they even wanted to go as far, and they succeeded in banning black jurors. So there has been a consistency to what they've done, and that is they wanted to ban anything black because, it's not a question of intimidation because there's been no intimidation that has gone on here. The only thing that's been intimidating is that, their presence in the courtroom is intimidating themselves. We are there, right? When Pastor Barber, when William Barber came in, he wasn't in the main courtroom.
Right.
He was in an overflow courtroom.
Right.
So they never even saw him. He was out of the vision of the attorneys as well as the jury. So, it's just a horrible argument. So, but they know that it ain't stopping. They know that we've been out marching. They know we've been out in the community. They know that Reverend Jesse Jackson is on the way. They called him out saying that he was there. They ain't seen anything yet, Roland. Reverend Jackson is coming, and it's not going to stop because this family, the Arbery family, it's not about trying to intimidate a community. It's about trying to support the family. And that's why Reverend Sharpton came. That's why Reverend Barber came. That's why Reverend Jackson is coming. All of them have been invited by the family to come and provide their support. That's what this is about. It's bad lawyering on their side to try to, do what they're doing and banning blacks. Really, is what they want to do is just ban blacks from the courtroom. And, interesting, Roland, one of the things that Barbara and I always discuss, right, is that this is what they do when the nation is watching.
Yes.
Can we imagine what they've done in the cases when no one has been watching? That's the scary thought.
And I want to point out also, Roland, when you are saying it's racist, be clear that every morning there are pastors out in front of the courthouse praying with the family. And you know why they haven't complained about them? Because most of them are white. And they, so this is very racist and very racially targeted. They're only focusing on the black pastors when indeed there have been rabbis out there, there have been Methodists, there have been Unitarians, there have been, you name every Christian and non-Christian denomination, and they've been out there praying with the family. So this is really racial targeting, but they might as well just sit themselves down because we aren't going anywhere, and we're bringing in more, as Daryl said so brilliantly, we're bringing in more black pastors. We're bringing in more pastors from throughout the Glenn County area because ultimately the lesson here is that this racist, vicious, vigilante killing has to be addressed. They have to be held accountable, but there needs to be a new Glenn County. Because the fact that you got this kind of racial segregation, this kind of inopportunity that exists in Glenn County, that has to be addressed. And there's no racial justice until you address it, and they're scared because they see a new order coming. There's a new political order. He's correct. It is political in the sense that the white people in the county are thinking very differently about their politics, and that's scaring them. They see a change happening in Glenn County.
And, Roland, if I may, adding
that's what I found to be most laughable, the fact that he specifically said black pastors. He didn't say pastors.
Yes.
He specifically said black pastors. Daryl, go ahead.
Yep. No, and, Roland, one of the interesting things that Barbara was laying out is that Glenn County is changing. And it's changing because, one of the things that we noted in this trial during the beginning stages of questioning were the number of white jurors here in Glenn County that were saying that they thought that the actions of these defendants were despicable,
right,
and just against them, and that they formulated prejudiced opinions about them already. So in terms of the changing dynamics, It's there. You got to remember that Gough is the same one who made this motion about banning the black pastors. Is the same one who made a motion that said that his client can't get a fair trial because there are not enough uneducated white males on the jury.
No. He says there's not enough bubbas
and
six packs on the jury.
Look, I understand the whole point of being able to defend your client, but what we're seeing here is pure racism coming from these lawyers, and thankfully, this judge rejected their pleas. Y'all have been doing some great work there. We live streamed the rally that you had earlier, and we certainly thank for the hard work that y'all are doing there on the ground, standing with that family. Daryl Jones and Barbara Arnwine, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
brother.
Thank you so much, Roland.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?